What's going on, guys? So last weekend I got passes to see Captain Phillips, Paul Greengrass' newest film starring Tom Hanks and basically a bunch of unknown actors playing Somalian pirates. And it premiered at the festivals, and the reviews for it were incredible. I kind of stopped looking for bad reviews after 8 or 9 of them because there was just nothing that was negative being said about this movie. And so it raised the bar of the type of movie I thought it was going to be. I knew I was going to enjoy this movie, but the amount that I would actually enjoy it was still yet to be determined by the actual footage that I've seen, or I get to see. And so I kind of walked into this movie very blind because I was always aware of the real life situation and aware that it was going on, but I never dwelled too deep into the story and seen the fates of the characters or even the execution of the whole mission to get Captain Phillips rescued, blah blah blah. I went in the way I wanted to go into all movies, and that is not knowing really anything about the film. And it kind of caught me off guard because the first 45 to 50 minutes of this movie takes place on this big cargo ship, and I thought the whole movie was going to take place, and it had 20 pirates, and they were basically fighting off the Navy aboard this ship. But I couldn't have been more wrong. At the first 50 minutes, they're on this ship, and they're walking around freely type of deal with very little resistance and very little pressure added onto them. They kind of can do what they want, and they're winging it without ever facing real consequences. And the way they board this ship is actually the best part of the first, I'd say, half of this movie, or first third of this movie, because pirates just seem so out of date, and it very well could have translated poorly to screen, but the way he executes this and makes it seem so intense, and it's such a simple sequence, but Paul Greengrass just nails this boarding of the ship, and like combined with the score and Tom Hanks's kind of worried abilities really made this you sit on the edge of your seat when they board the ship. And then in the second half, or the not second half, but the last 2/3 of the movie kind of takes place in this mini life raft of sorts. It's like a mini submarine or a mini ship. I don't really know what it's called, so I'm just going to call it a little submarine. And it's very small and crowded and clunky and claustrophobic, and Tom Hanks is stuck on this life raft with the 4 other pirates, and they're basically making their way to the Somali coast to try to hold these guys hostage and get some money for him. Not guys, but Tom Hanks. And get some money for him, and his bosses kind of held him out to dry because they didn't want to deal with the Navy. And so for the first time in this movie, they have to actually deal with consequences, and they feel the added pressure because the Navy caught up to them, and they can't just wing it anymore, and they actually feel the weight of their consequences, and they really don't know what to do because they've been winging it the whole time. And while you're on this little submarine, you get to the dialogue in this film feels very calculated and very good because they reveal small traits about each of the characters to where they don't have to go into detail about their backstories. You learn about them just simply through their little conversations with one another, and the bonds they develop, and the way they treat Tom Hanks' character, Captain Phillips, reveals a whole lot about themselves. And it's a very intense, claustrophobic feeling. And I really didn't know what was going to happen. And once the U.S. Marines or Navy SEALs got involved in this movie, it just turns into an all-time high in tension. And a lot of people have talked about the last 25 minutes, or the raid on Osama bin Laden in Zero Dark 30, and how intense and great that scene was. And the last hour and a half of this movie feels like that 25-minute sequence. And it's so intense, and it has you biting your nails and clenching your fist and heavy breathing. And it's so crazy because not a whole lot happens. It's just through just simple little mannerisms, you don't know what's going to happen because these pirates seem so unorganized and so unprepared for this situation that they can explode at any minute, and that's what's so good about them. And the whole sequence with the SEALs, like I said, I thought it was going to be a quick 10 to 15 minute sequence where they just get in, do the mission, job done. But they actually take their time, and it's literally probably like 35 to 40 minutes long, and it's so good and so intense, and it's the best part of the movie, and it's so well done because, like I said, not a whole lot happens. It's just amping the sound of the dialogue and creating this crazy claustrophobic atmosphere, and it strangles you, and it's hard to breathe watching it. And it's mainly due to how great Tom Hanks is in the last 30 minutes. He's great the whole movie, but the last 30 minutes guarantees that he gets an Oscar nomination, and he's the front runner to win it, because this is some of the best work he's ever done, and it's great to finally get a good Tom Hanks movie, because it feels like it's been too long since we've seen a worthwhile one, and he's the type of actor we all love and want to see good things from, and hopefully this sets him on a better path than he's been in the last 10 years, because he's kind of been an irrelevant person in Hollywood, at least for me. And the four Somalian pirates, I believe that this was their first acting role, and they just did a fantastic job. Specifically, the leader of the group and the hothead of sorts, because they were given a lot, and I mean, sort of this being their first time, they could have easily struggled and made the whole film fall apart, but they really held their weight and defined their characters and gave their characters basically traits and made you kind of identify with them, and they just did a fantastic job. And the leader of the Navy SEALs did a very good job too. I believe his name is Max Martini. He was in Pacific Rim, and he sucked ass in that movie, and it's amazing what good dialogue and just a better written script can do for an actor and his performance. And like I said, Paul Greengrass killed this movie. I'm surprised at just how well done and how tense he made this, because it didn't seem like it'd be that intense of a movie or a story that worthy of telling, and he just absolutely makes this a thrilling experience, and it's one of my favorite movies of the year, and it's something that I think will be talked about a lot come Oscar season. And for that, I'm going to give Captain Phillips a 9 out of 10, and I highly recommend you see the movie when it comes out. If you like my video, subscribe to it, my channel, and give me a thumbs up. So, until next time, guys, I'll see you later.